So just because someone says, well, I'm implementing Agile, it seems that in a way there is a hope that their project will be successful. Implementing Agile is really hard because it requires discipline, and it requires all parts of an organization, so not only IT but also the business, to be involved. Pitfalls might also relate to the fact that the moment you introduce Agile, you have got one part of the organization, say IT execution, that goes really fast, but then you've got upstream and downstream systems that they have not been involved, and therefore they become the bottleneck. Another pitfall to look for is that sometimes Agile visualizes bottlenecks in an organization. So suddenly a department in an organization starts working really well, but that obviously discovers other departments that are not working that well. And when these departments represent senior business management, you can then find active resistance to the process. What passionates me about Agile is that it allows IT professionals like yourself, like myself, to actually deliver value to the business. Because in the end this is what we are here for. So IT exists as a service to the business, so from whatever angle you want to see it. Working with traditional approaches, I found that there was a barrier, if you want, between the business and IT. And so the business would come up with ideas, but then, it would take forever for IT to deliver these ideas, and eventually the business would grow frustrated. Generally, when things start going wrong, two things happen. The first is that there is the tendency of adding more process. So rather than taking away the process, organizations tend to say, okay, things are not going well, let's create the steering group, or let's introduce more control. I want a detailed Gantt chart of every single delivery, every single activity, because I want to keep things under control. This is a catch-22 situation, because the more control you introduce in an organization, the slower the things go. And then the second thing that happens is that a barrier that is cultural and trust related starts forming between IT and the business, so that the usual finger pointing starts happening. So the business says IT is too slow, and IT says the business doesn't know what they want, and they are like not reliable and like a children in a candy shop. So the reason why I wrote my book is that looking out there at the bibliography that's available, and there is a lot, I couldn't find any author that communicated why one would like to introduce Agile, besides the normal practices that I believe you all know, in terms of well, you can have iterative and incremental deliveries, you can have so you can reduce your risk by delivering often, you can deliver highest priority requirements first. These are all good things that could happen and should happen in an IT organization, but what was missing from my experience was that nobody told you why. I'm talking about a concept of considering IT deliveries. So that includes Scrum, XP, but also includes lean methodologies, so like a Kanban when applied to IT. The message that I found was missing, and that I'm hoping to convey with my book, and I mean the book is all centered about that, is why one would like to, why an organization should introduce Agile. And the answer that I'm giving is to deliver the business with value. And how can that be implemented? By placing IT operations and its measurements at the center of the process. My book indicates a formula, very simple arithmetic, to actually find out where you are with your IT operation performance within an organization. Then let's ask ourselves, is there a performance issue? Because the problem is that many organizations, let's go in Agile because it's fashion. What's missing is that organizations that want to move to Agile from a previous methodology, they often don't admit why or if they got the performance issue. And so the first question what an organization should ask is, do we have a performance issue? If the answer to that question is yes, then something should be done about it. And my book basically helps the readers to follow a journey through which you can implement some best practices, and Agile and Lean are tools to get this done. But my book suggests a framework, and the framework are guidelines and principles on how an organization that has admitted has got some performance issues can streamline IT operations by placing business value at the center of the process in order to deliver two things: operational excellence and best-in-class status. First of all, it's really difficult to do in some scenarios because if there are existing departments that are following, let's say, other methodologies and they are either upstream or downstream to you, it might become difficult to integrate the two methodologies. However, what I generally suggest is to try and get your department streamlined. So what this means is, generally, for instance, Kanban and Lean methodologies work very well because one team or one organization can implement them without actually downstream or upstream systems to see that. And once your organization is streamlined, then start talking to the upstream and downstream systems to see whether some of your practices can be adopted by them as well. And then by leading by example. So hopefully other teams or the departments will see that your team start delivering better quality, starts delivering at a constant pace, and not every 6 or 12 months, but every 2 or 4 weeks. And they will come to you and ask questions in terms of, what did you change for this to happen? How can we adopt the same thing? It requires a lot of effort, a lot of discipline, and careful preparation. And it requires the preparation of an environment that I like defining a continuous improvement culture. So in a continuous improvement culture, everyone in an organization, from the most senior business manager to the team developer, work every moment of their office hours, and even sometimes outside the office hours, to try to improve the way they're doing things. An organization should strive to achieve optimal targets, and the way this can be achieved is by setting those targets before an Agile methodology is adopted, in terms of, in an ideal world, where would we like to be from an operational perspective, and then keep refining the process just one step at a time. That's what I mean by continuous improvement culture. It's like an organization should never be happy with what he has and where he stands in terms of operational excellence. It should always try to achieve perfection in a way, although we all know that perfection is not achievable per se. But the journey towards perfection is what should be a natural consequence of adopting Agile and Lean methodologies within an organization. So my view is that we should move more towards a lean approach, where you don't ask the team to commit to anything. All you do is you pick up one item from the backlog, the team works on it, it delivers that, and if the business wants that, can be delivered to production, and the team moves on to the next one. The advantages of doing this are multiple. So one is that the team's morale does not get affected by, let's say, the fact that they take 5 days rather than 3 to deliver a story, because suddenly someone has his wife, let's say, ill at home, and they they can't come to work, right? And these people, maybe this person maybe was working on a story and now it can work. But secondly, all the time that goes into sprint plan meeting instead can be used to actually develop stories. And therefore, what we witness is that, you know, by using lean for process management, an organization becomes more effective because there is a continuous flow of functionalities that get delivered to the business.